Okay. So, yeah, my name is Marie-Luce Nadal, and I work and live between Paris and the French part of the Catalonia. The title of this talk is Suspended Lives. And I would like to present you my point of view of the cloud. It will be through images of my work and researches, and that is always related with science or mythologies and or experiments. So this relation with cloud is connected to my own experience and story, and my interests are situated and orientated by my own living experiments that I'm happy to share with you today. I consider all of my work as experiment to extend, to make more plastic and elastic the link that connects the roots, at least my roots, to the air, our bodies to an outdoor. So, So I come from a vine tree growers family in French Catalonia. And to grow vine trees, to have grapes, we need to protect them from a lot of disease. And above all, from cloud hail. This protective action pushed me to focus my interest on seeding, how to grow one entity, but also to cloud seeding, which is for me how to destroy existing entities by multiplication or by saturation. So yeah, cloud seeding technology is ancient, but have been known mainly thanks to science and their multiple applications. The technology has been developed by Vincent Schaeffer for a big American company. And after destructive war abuse of this technology, cloud seeding fell into the public domain. So since 1952 in France and all around the world, cloud seeding is used regularly for public events. I mean, we know that from Chinese massive cloud seeding actions, but also it is used for agriculture. This technology is very simple and very efficient. I can try to explain it very quickly. So basically to live, a cloud requires humidity, water, air, difference of temperature, and above all, what I call suspended imperfections that are well known as aerosols. So those aerosols are multiple, are very diverse, and they are very volatile. And they live and grow in the atmosphere, and they are used as a structure for water to create clouds. Each of those aerosols in a cloud will be in a moment coated by water to create a small hail, and then later will compose one entity, one cloud. So after a while, the small hail will fall, and by falling in a warmer atmosphere, hail will touch the ground as droplets. So to create one cloud, atmosphere requires billions of aerosols that create one and then thousands of small hails that become one cloud entity. And a hail cloud is a cloud poor in aerosol that will generate larger hail structure. Big hail grains, hail rocks, that will then fall in the warmer atmosphere as smaller hails, but that will destroy the culture. So cloud seeding works with chosen aerosols, chosen by human. It's called silver iodide. And those aerosols are massively charged in hail clouds. By this action, and under a certain condition, atmospherical condition, the cloud will just disappear. So where I come from, there is no many clouds except in August, just before the vendange. With the high temperature, we start to have massive clouds. And one of the most dangerous things for grapes before the harvest is the hail. Hail that is said in Catalan, cala bruixa. Bruixa, which means both hail and witch. So that's one of the reasons of my early obsession with cloud, storm, and winds. Very young, I started to understand that there was a fight between my grandfather and the sky. He was shooting at the sky, intending to make the cloud disappear. And I have to confess that it was working quite efficiently. So I spent my school, high school, and university studies breathing air and thinking about that. About how terrifying and violent it was to spread so many similar elements in the atmosphere, and that obviously cannot be all coated at the same time. Some of them will remain in the atmosphere for a long time. And what will that produce? We don't know. In another point of view, it is, for me, a very beautiful aspect of culture. In agriculture today, cloud seeding is working as a chain. If hail, for example, is expected in a specific region, it's in France the whole country that will light up these seeding systems. So the systems look like chimneys, and each farmer who seeds the cloud does it not for himself, but for his neighbor. And every of them hopes that the previous neighbor will sow above him. At the same time, the sowing is imperceptible. The visible umbrella maintained over the head of somebody else works on trust and faith. So when I finally graduated as an architect, I finally decided to build what I was drawing and dreaming about, a factory for cloud extraction. I really wanted to see it. I mean, to see what the clouds look like and what they look like in several places. So this is my first cloud extractor, the first factory of the vaporous. It's a very simple, easy machine that basically works extracting in the air and in the rainwater all those imperfections without choosing them. They extract them and they distillate and tamizate them and transform it into a pure oil of synthetic clouds. So I can have several harvests of the clouds all around the world, at least everywhere the machine is going. And I developed then a second machine to be more efficient and have more harvests of clouds. So if the first factory of the vaporous was made with material coming from an old distillery, the second machine is as a totem of the industrial era. It is made of recycling of old machines and cars. For me, the cloud is a living entity. It has its own life, an incredible life that is very different for our life's conceptions. Cloud is everywhere, in our house, in our atmosphere, in every element, but it only appears under certain conditions. It contains and hides things, memories, patrimony, And I'm also sure about that, it contains feelings. It contains an entity that is always moving. It is autonomous, and its power is sheltered in the fact that it never die or never be born. The perception of time in cloud or for clouds is different than our perception. I've been focusing my research on the human will of control of it, and more generally over the control of our atmosphere. The thing is that to maintain ourselves up, we need a part of control of it. We need to lead every part, every entity existing in our body, just to walk or to breathe. But it's very hard for me to determine clearly where the control abuse is starting. I mean, is agriculture an abusive form of control of our surrounding? Yes, it is. And at the same time, it's not. We need it. We need it, definitely. It depends on the way we do it, of the scale we do it, and if we do it with or for. So I am fascinated about this small limit between the beauty of creating with nature and the horror of submission to suffocation of nature. The border of a cloud doesn't exist. Border are, to me, concepts of control, concepts to determine in general one from another, when the limits between all of them is impossible to really determine. Even you, from the other side of the screen, I mean, we are sharing the same thing. I'm projecting with you. We are all porous. And there is never an absolute permeabilization or circumscription of us. But we need to create boundaries to select and observe by parts the world. It's our way of thinking, imagining, elaborating, etc. The work you're seeing now is called Eollorium. It's a small, entire, imaginary property, and it's created in a sealed vat. It contains some droplets of the cloud harvest, one cloud harvest from 2017 from Paris, and it is evaluating over an imaginary landscape I draw. This cloud is able to evaluate, at least if you don't open the vat, and to evaluate forever. So as you can see, the cloud is visible only in one part of the vat, but it is everywhere. And I give to it the possibility to appear and disappear at will. With the cloud extraction realized with the factory of the vaporous, I'm not trying to make a selection of relevant imperfections. I just want to take them all. And it creates a unique harvest. But if you look in the air, in the clouds, with a cloud over like this one which was created by aerobiologists at Le Puy de Dôme in France. And if you analyze what they collect, you will be able to see all the diversity that exists in the atmosphere. In fact, there is billions of different aerosols. A part of them is inorganic, like silver iodide, created by human. And another part of these aerosols can be organic and will remain alive in the air. I am particularly interested by one of them, who is born and lives on the vine leaves. After a while, and because all of them are too small to be attached by gravity to the ground, those living organisms are elevated in the sky by thermodynamic laws. The sun pushed them into the atmosphere. So they are quietly living in a peaceful environment, and suddenly they find themselves propelled into an arid environment where temperature, pressure change dramatically. Under those conditions, those aerosols are not dying. They fold up, they fold themselves and fall in a dormancy. And by curling up, they change their own structure and become incredibly colorful. From a dark appearance, they become fluorescent orange. So what you see here is a culture of those aerosols in atmospherical conditions. So they remain in this state for a few hours or for 1,000 years. They are waiting for water to coat them and then fall again in a droplet. Once on the ground, they can get on with their lives and they can multiply. So the perception of time in the cloud, when you are not touching the ground, is not the same. So I have the feeling that some way they are a part of us as a construction. They are following me everywhere. I had to give a physical appearance to that, a materiality for this living, and it's called deity of fog. And you can see it sometimes in the street, in the subway, or in my studio like here. Suspended organisms are everywhere around us. The world is becoming even more aware of this today with the pandemic that is affecting us. And we realize that finally, even with all the borders we massively elaborate, we all live in the same thickness, no matter where we come from or what we are doing. So in 2018, I've been creating this piece. It's a small theater for the small entities that you host today and that will be maybe a part of me tomorrow. This piece is a dramatic Venetian theater, the smallest one actually, and it is happening in my mouth. You can see here the small sculpture version of this theater. It is a mold of my mouth with lights, stage, curtains, a pit to host an orchestra, and an ornament, a grilse representing Michelangelo's Adam's creation. All of these elements exist in duplicate so that I can re-propose this silent 20 minutes opera when possible. I turn on the light, draw the curtain, open the mouth, and then the drama can begin. So I would like to leave the discussion now with a video of the performance. I hope that we will have a chance to discuss more further. Thank you.
Every moment that occurs in my mouth is a tragedy. Disaster ensues. Dryness, flooding, sourness, critical flows and acidity. Breaches arise from all quarters. My mouth is the gateway to delectable and repetitive happenings that I aspire to share with the world. exhaling, inhaling, in light of generating wind is what I yearn, since none of what enters or exits my mouth belongs to me. Nonetheless, temperature, cracks, erosion, thaw, sedimentation, each idle and impetuous intrusion, each shapeless and impatient migration is identified and channels a mutation within my mouth. Even if stopped at the border or arrested inside, no intrusion can truly be prevented. Air, being the sole master and commander, finds himself at mine at his, and neither being the clear ruler of my own state or my impermeable bounds have to him any importance. For it, everything is accessible. It therefore becomes fundamental to live outside, gaping mouth, defenseless, tossed around by all currents, blending with others, blending with the world. Could I thus live this way? The palatine uvula is my chariot, the captain choosing the windy path, arching above and below. The uvula is the raft carrying towards the mind or body these everlasting migration, these imperceptible migrants. The uvula is the threshold, an inner-propelling frontier between worlds, ethereal and earthly, dead and alive. Strangely, in French, the uvula is called luette, which is also the name of a game based on tricks and deception, a game of deceiving words and gestures only played and won in pantomimes. But the practice is fading, and the tragedy, the game, is practically lost.